All right, welcome to The Blind. We are joined by a very special guest this evening. We appreciate a duck calling champion and he's got a bunch of skills and a bunch of different things that he does. But before we get into introducing him, Cam, let's run the intro for the show to show some thanks to all of our sponsors, and we'll get started with this episode of The Blind. Cam, I think I like that intro. I think only because our last one, it was so great that this one's so short. We get right into the guest. So we appreciate Cam, our producer, for putting that together for us. And we are here on season 2 of The Blind. And again, if you are watching on Facebook, we appreciate you for tuning in. Or if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you like to get your podcast at, we appreciate you for listening. And tonight's special guest, let me quit talking for a minute and introduce Mr. Forrest Carvajal. Did I say that right? Carvajal. I'm sorry. I missed a letter there.
Carvajal.
I told you today I was not going to do that.
You're good.
Forrest Carvajal from
Everybody misses it.
Yeah, Pond Creek Duck Calls is your brand, but you have got, man, your claim to fame is everywhere. So why don't we just start off? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then let's just jump into it.
Man, I wouldn't know where to start there. All I know that I can tell you is I love duck hunting. I've duck hunted since I was 11 down there in Texarkana, where you guys are at now.
Yeah,
that's where the Pond Creek name came from, was Pond Creek NWR.
Yeah, Brian and I were actually talking
Arkansas,
about that. Sorry, we were actually talking about that. He told me that you were Pond Creek Duck Calls, and I said, I wonder if he's got some ties around here because the National Wildlife Refuge is right down the road. He said, I bet that is where he got it.
That is exactly where I got it from. Shot my first duck there, got my first band there. A lot of history there for me.
So you grew up here in Texarkana, and did you grow up here? I mean, your whole childhood, or kind of take us back to where you started as a child and kind of where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're born in Texarkana, technically you're born in the Texas side. So I guess I'm
technically, yes.
Technically, I'm a Texan, I guess, but I grew up on the Arkansas side. And I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandparent, my peepaw, and his son, my uncle, they duck hunted all the time. So they'd bring ducks home, and I'd help pluck them. Basically, I just pulled out the feathers that I wanted. And until I was old enough, and they thought that I could handle duck hunting, which duck hunting for me was, we'll go squirrel hunting and then walk up on a creek and try to shoot a wood duck. That's how I got introduced to duck hunting, but I loved it.
Well,
so we got our first fellow squirrel hunter on the podcast. I'm a squirrel hunter myself. I can't get Brian into it, but hey, man, I love some squirrel hunting.
I like it. I like it a lot. I have not been just strictly squirrel hunting in a long time, but I've always enjoyed it. I hate cleaning them, and it's just, I'm too lazy.
It's definitely second. Well, it's probably not even second. It's like third or fourth on the list somewhere, from duck hunting, turkey hunting, deer hunting, and probably squirrel.
I could come up with a lot more than on the list before I get to squirrels.
I don't do the other two. I don't turkey hunt and I don't deer hunt, so I guess it would be straight from duck hunting to squirrels for me.
Yeah, it's just too much. It's too much walking for me. You know, I mean, it's. I like to use my energy wisely, and I don't care anything about eating them. I mean, it's just I feel like I'm eating a rat. You know, I go to the local Chinese restaurant and eat it there. I don't have to clean it if I want to eat some.
Listen, we do a family duck hunt in DeWitt every year, and one night we did squirrel, and it wasn't just like the meat from the squirrel. Like some of the guys were eating the tongue. They were eating the brain.
No.
Like it was all, and I was dying. Like, it wasn't me. I wasn't about to do it. Not me. The rest of it, it was okay. I can handle that. That's fine. But when they started cracking into the brain, the tongue.
That's a little too far. That's a little too far.
Well, you get over there in the Delta, you never know what you're going to find over there. Those guys over there are something else. So, but well, look, when you hunted down here around this area, where of course I'm guessing that you hunted at Pond Creek, but where else did you hunt around here?
So we hunted Millwood a little bit too. My grandfather, obviously, he's older. He was a grandfather, so we didn't fight the crowds as much. We usually made it as easy of a hunt as possible, and then we actually got into a private lease that was right next to Millwood, and got to do a lot of good duck killing there. But before then, we didn't kill a whole lot. So even to this day, it doesn't bother me to go out and shoot one or two, and then it's the end of the day. I'm perfectly fine with that. That's not a bad day to me. I grew up with plenty of skunks.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Garrett and I mean, when he first started duck hunting with me, we hunted quite a bit at Millwood and still do. I wouldn't say we hunt quite a bit there now, but we have up until the last few years. We love Millwood. I mean, it's when it's good, it's really good.
And when it's bad, it's really bad.
I will say this: the one thing that I really miss about Millwood is hunting it in the afternoons. Because around here,
don't
you can
say
hunt.
that. You can't say that on the podcast.
I can say that. I can
Yeah.
say that. If you live down there and don't know that you can hunt Millwood in the afternoons, that's your own dadgum fault.
Well, people
Yeah, that's true.
know it. They know it. They just don't do it.
They just don't do it.
Garrett and I
Well-
and one or two other people will go hunt it in the afternoons. That's my favorite time to hunt it.
For sure.
I don't have the opportunity to hunt the afternoons here. Like, we can hunt the river, but it's not. You don't have as much opportunity like you would
Yeah.
like you do at Millwood.
Right.
So that's what I miss the most about being down there would be being able to afternoon hunt, just the opportunity to do it. Not necessarily saying that you're going to bang them every time.
So you're no longer down here around Texarkana. Where are you exactly now? Where's your headquarters at? Where you live at?
Greenbrier, which is just north of Conway. We don't really hunt this area just a whole heck of a lot. Most of the time we go out east. It's an hour and a half trek or more sometimes, but that's where the better hunting is at. And that's where you're going to get that memorable group more likely there than you're going to get it here. So we chase that.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's jump right into your brand, the Pond Creek Duck Calls. Of course, you told us kind of where it came, but where the name came from. But how did the whole you making duck calls and creating the brand and all that even come about?
Well, when I started duck hunting, the calling part was the biggest draw. I mean, I've always liked that. I'm not going to say it came naturally because I've worked really hard at it, but I really enjoy it. And I started duck hunting when I was 11. I'm 35 now, and blown a duck call the whole time. And I really got serious about competition and competing about, I guess it'll be 3 years ago in October. I had done some contests in the past, just not like serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then also from that point, learning that there were small shops, like the End of the Line podcast had a Josh Raggio on there.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where I learned about small shops. And then I was like, okay, so this is a thing. This is not as difficult as what I originally thought it was. So it was kind of the point of like, I love duck hunting and duck calling so much. I owe it to myself to try to make a duck call. And the actual hand turning part of it and the tools and everything, that did not come natural in any way. It's still extremely difficult. But finding the sound, it came a little bit easier to me, I think, than probably most, just because I'm decent at running a duck call. I'm not going to say I'm great at it, but I'm decent at running a duck call. So that part came fairly easily. The first intent was not to sell and make a big brand out of it. That's kind of the intent now. But originally it was like, I enjoy this, and if I make a good enough call that people are going to want it, then I'll make it for the people that want it. And so far, a lot of people want it, so hopefully it'll stay that way.
Yeah, and you say you're not very good, or let me rephrase that. You said that you haven't been doing the competition calling for just a real long time, a few years, but we don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but maybe you're just a little humble, but you are a world champion.
It's true. I did win the World Cutdown this year, which was probably the last contest that I thought I would ever win. Uh, but yeah, that one came as a surprise. But I got my trophy shelf over here, and there's a lot of second place and third place over there. There's not many first place ones.
Well, like I said, I think you're pretty humble because it takes uh, it takes a special person to blow a cut down call. You and I, when we were talking on the phone this morning, I told you I've been blowing a duck call for, I don't know, at least 20, 25 years now, and I just bought my first cut down call this year, and I'm embarrassed to blow it in front of anybody. And now I am not a world class duck caller. I can call ducks in, and we kill ducks, and I'm if there were 10 of us in a room, just normal guys, I could probably blow better than at least 5 of them. But
That's giving yourself too much credit.
yeah. But I'm not blowing better than anybody, even my 1-year-old, on a cut down call. I'm just gonna put that out there for sure.
It's different. It is different, and I mean I have the trophy, but I can tell you right now that more than half of those guys that are in that contest, if we were in the woods, they'd beat me every single time. It wouldn't even be close.
Yeah. Well, Forrest, you know a lot more about duck calls and duck calling than we do. And like I said, we know about when we go in the woods and we call it ducks. But I want to dig in a little bit more to cut downs. Okay? So I don't know a whole lot about cut down calls.
Neither do I.
Educate me. I mean, you're the world champion. You got to know more than I do.
Okay, well, I'll give you my understanding of
Okay.
a cut down. But there's a lot of people that are much more educated with the cut down than me. For me, I think that a cut down, they handle fast air better. Guys that want to push air really hard and really fast, they handle that better. I don't want to say it in a mean way, but it feels like more uncontrolled air to me. I think that they can be sometimes more beginner friendly than
It's not
your
a finesse.
traditional.
It's not a finesse call.
Well, I don't want to say that it's not a finesse call
Okay.
because a really good cut down has probably a better bottom end to it than a J frame. Like if you get a really, really good one or a really, really good cut old, I think it's probably one of the best sounding bottom end finesse ducky sounds that you can have. Now, I think those are few and far between, but I do think that they can be very finessey. But
So is Alt the original cut down?
uh, I would say yes. I would say that that's the ones that they started modifying. Now the just a regular Alt is not a cut down. That's you have to modify it for it to technically be a cut down, I guess. And for the cut down contest, they have parameters that you have to meet for it to be a traditional cut down. Uh, I would say that the cut down sound can be achieved from a J frame these days because there's so many modifications and people have learned how to get so many different sounds out of a duck call. But the original cut downs, I think if you're standing next to the tree that somebody's blowing on, doesn't sound that great. But if you're 40, 50, 100 yards away from them, it sounds just like a dadgum duck in the woods.
Yeah, and those have really taken off. I would say the last 5 years, 5 to 10 years, that the cut downs have really taken off and people are blowing them. It's all about who can be the loudest in the public woods and catch the duck's attention with the big barky cut down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the public really figured out the cut down thing when the Mondo came out. And I'll be the first one to tell you, when the Mondo came out, I was like, there's no way I'm blowing that thing. I hate the way it sounds. I'm not going to blow it. I've got one of them at least, so I'll blow one now sometimes. But yeah, the cut down craze it's just grown and grown and grown. And I like that. I mean, that's cool. There's
Yeah.
nothing bad about that. Now, I would say that the guys that were blowing them beforehand are probably a little upset, like their secret is gone. Everybody that goes to the woods has a cut down now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, look, before we get too much into duck calls, because of course we want to talk about your brand and talk about what you're what you're making and what you're selling. Before we jump into that, let's take a short little break real quick to show some love to some of our sponsors. And when we come back from that break, we will jump right into the Pond Creek duck calls. So Cam, take us away. Welcome back, Season 2 of The Blind, and we have got the world champion Cutdown duck caller here, Mr. Forrest Carvajal, with us.
Got it right that time.
Make sure I say that right this time.
Good job.
Yeah,
Good job.
yeah. But hey, before we jump back into it, we just showed a commercial, and as you can see, if you're watching the Facebook version, you can see our sponsors on the screen each and every week. And if you're listening on the podcast version, you can always hear their commercials. But just a big thanks to everybody that makes this possible, and run through those real quick. Shin Gear, Lyle Real Estate, Apex Ammunition, Alpha Innovations, Stratton Seed Company, Perfect Limit Outdoors, Dirty Duck Coffee, and of course, the High and Dry guys. I guess I can say it, but they just rebranded and now they are Hella Dry. So we appreciate all of those guys that make this possible for us to do it. And make sure that you go and like them on social media and be listening to our future podcasts, because those guys will be on with us at some time during Season 2. So, but let's jump back into the Pond Creek duck calls. So how do you even start in the duck calling business? I mean, you just wake up one day and decide you're going to make duck calls, or take us back to that very beginning mindset that you had when you started this journey.
Originally, it was just I wanted to make one that I could hunt with. And then if it was good enough and people wanted it, then I would make one for them. The first call that I made was June 3rd of last year, 2022. And I remember it because I got all my stuff in, and the next day I was going to Callapalooza. So I was like, I've got to try to make one and take it to all my buddies that are at Callapalooza, so they'll all get a laugh out of it, because I was like, it's going to be terrible. There's no way the first one I make is going to sound any good at all. And somehow it came out sounding okay. It was, I mean, like I could hunt it and kill ducks with it. But it wasn't some magical duck call. But anyhow, I took it, and, I got a few laughs, and a few people were like, holy crap, that's your first one. But yeah, and this year it's happened really fast. Honestly, it's probably happened faster than I can really handle it. Because a year to the day this year, I was at Callapalooza, and I was in the Call Makers Build-Off, which to be selected for that was a big honor for me, but it was also kind of like I had a lot of imposter syndrome, because I was like, I've been doing this for a year, and there's Brad Samples, who is, I mean, call making royalty that I'm competing against, and other guys that are just as good and incredible call makers. I'm like, this is way beyond me. But it was also, it's like I had the opportunity to make duck call in John Stevens' shop, and I have admired his calling style. Like, my calling style is based off of the way John Stevens blows a call. Like, I try to sound like John Stevens when I'm in the woods. So that was really cool for me. It meant a lot to get to do that. But yeah, that's where we're at now. I prefer making wood calls than acrylic. Acrylic it's got a lot more range to it as far as different sounds and pitch changes and everything. But wood comes out so pretty, and I think it has a more natural duck sound. You didn't ask for all that, but you're getting it anyhow.
Yeah, no, we want it all. We want it all. We've got unlimited time here.
But that's how it all came around. I really enjoy making a call. I'm not the fastest at it, by no means. It takes me way too long to make a duck call sometimes, and then I go through spurts of I'll make 3 or 4 that sound like garbage, and they'll end up in the garbage because I'm not going to give somebody one of those. But then I'll have 2 or 3 that come out that sound good enough that I don't want them to leave.
Yeah. So, back to between the wood and acrylic. I mean, is one easier to make over the other as far as once you start working with the material itself?
For me, it's wood. For me, I can turn wood faster. I can make a full call out of wood quicker than I can acrylic. Uh, Now, once you have finished an acrylic call, they're more durable than a wood call. They're less likely to break. A wood call, you have to take it apart after you hunt and let it dry because wood swells and shrinks and moves. Acrylic doesn't do that. Um, so there are those aspects of it, but I almost strictly hunt a wood call just because I mean I think they're pretty. I like the way that they sound, and it's more traditional, and I like that.
So when we talked this morning, I thought it was really really funny, and I didn't laugh too much on the phone, which you were laughing with me, so it wasn't at you. But I asked you about the cut down calls, and you were like, I don't think I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but you don't even make a cut down call, and you are the world champion. So how does that even happen?
Yeah, and he also said that he's not the one to educate us, but he educated everybody at Delta Waterfowl.
That's right. That's right.
Well, there was a lot of factors that went into the competition side of it, but I honestly I never really thought about making a cut down, and then I won that contest, so now it's kind of like, well, I really have to make a cut down
Well, that's
now
what I was
because
just going to say. Yeah, you may not want to, but
well,
you may
that
be
now I
forced
kind of
into it.
want to. Now I kind of want to. It's definitely more on my radar, and I've got some ideas, and I'll probably start trying to make one. Maybe during season, I would like to have one to kind of test out for next season. Uh, that's kind of my timeline right now. Um, but no, as far as the contest goes, that wasn't because I'm a better cut down caller than anybody. I compete a lot. Uh, a lot of those guys that are the cut down contest guys, if they only compete in cut down contests, then they compete twice a year.
Hmm.
There we go. They compete at Simmons, which is in June, and then they compete at the World Cut Down, which is in July. Well, there's a lot of different other calling style contests. There's Main Street, there's Live Duck, there's Meat, there's Team Contest, and I do all of those. So I started contest calling this year in March, and I'd probably already competed and been on stage 8, 10, 11, I don't know how many times by the time World Cutdown got here. So when there was 58 people in the contest, I've been in contests with that amount of people. It takes forever. Some of those guys that only do cut down contests a couple times a year, they haven't done that. Uh, I'm used to getting on stage. So when people came back in the bullpen where we're all waiting during the contest, and they're like, there's people lined up back to the escalators. There's 300 people out there. I've never competed in front of 300 people, but now I know that I'm not going to look at the audience when I walk up there. So it's something that a little bit of experience definitely helped with that contest. And I practiced for a month and a half. I mean, I blew the cut down every day for a month and a half preparing for that contest. Mainly because I got my butt kicked the year before and got cut the first round, so I had to redeem myself.
Well, I was listening to another podcast that I really enjoy, and of course we say this all the time. I mean, we are a podcast, but we don't feel like we're competing with other people. We love to show love to everybody. I think there's room for everybody out there in the podcast world and in the cloud and the technical side of the
You're
world.
using terms you don't know anything about now.
Yeah, where you get. Well, I just heard
Sounds
somebody
good.
earlier say
Yeah,
that
sounds
something about
loud.
the cloud. I don't even know what the hell that is, but nonetheless, now somebody made this comment on another podcast, and they know about duck calls. They make duck calls, as a matter of fact, and they made the comment that that cut down competition in Little Rock that you won, that was the best. I don't know what lineup, I guess, of people that had entered that they had ever seen in a cut down contest. They said it was just stacked with people. They said usually you get a lot of people that aren't very good, then you're kind of mediocre people, then you have a few that are really really good. They said it was stacked from top to bottom, and I mean that should make you feel good because, like I said, this guy, he doesn't blow in competitions, but he makes duck calls. And I mean, to win a competition that people talk about like that, I mean, you must have done something really really right.
I blew the call well. I'm not. I mean, I couldn't have blown the call any better. And there's sometimes that when it's your day, it's your day.
Yeah.
That was probably part of it too. But yes, that contest was definitely stacked. I mean, and it could have been even more stacked because Byron, last year's world champion, he wasn't in it, and you can't take anything from him because last year it was just as stacked almost as it was this year. There was just more people this year, so
Well, he
it
couldn't
wasn't
get
like
out of the Shin booth. They were selling too many waiters.
I know. Hey, that's okay. That's okay. And then Drake Levy, he was another one that he could have been in the contest too. And both of them, had they been there, maybe there was a different outcome in that. Maybe not. Who knows? Uh, but yeah, there was a lot of world champions, whether it was cut down world champions, like Daniel Duke was back there, or if it was Main Street world champions, Brent Easley was back there. Steiny, I think, was back there. I don't want to miss anybody because there's probably somebody else that was out there. Seth Fields is back there. He's won every world championship you can, except for I think the World Cutdown. That might be the only one that he needs now, and nobody else has ever done that. He's the first one to ever hold the World Main Street and the World Live Duck. Nobody else has ever won both, but he was the first one to do it when he won Worlds last year. So yeah, there was a lot of really good, really accomplished callers that were back there. Some of them made mistakes. That's just out of characteristic, but it goes back to sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. It's not your day.
Well, it's kind of like it's just like sports. I mean, that's why you play the game. I mean, because it can be anybody's day on any given day. I mean, and it just happened to be your day, and congratulations. I mean,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I really am. I'm happy for you. I'm glad glad to see you holding that trophy up, and they give you a ring too, don't they?
Yes, I won't get it till like November. They had to get it sized or whatever, so I won't get to see it till November, which will be right in time for duck season. I'll have to wear it out there.
You think you can blow
hunt.
your duck call with that big ring on?
Yeah. Well, I use my left hand when I'm blowing a call, and I'll put it on my right hand. So
okay.
I'm about to say, you might scare all the ducks off with all the bling.
No. I'm gonna wave it at them.
Like, hey, I'm not even going to call at you. Look, I'm world champion. You just come on down.
Get down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of respect for anybody really that can get on the stage and do what you guys do. It's something that is an art. It's like playing a musical instrument. And I don't think a lot of people that aren't in that side of it maybe don't realize how much practice and how much effort and all the things that go into that. But it's something that's very intriguing to me. And I was just wondering, how do you go about building a routine?
That's a really good question. And the competition calling community, like the guys that travel around and compete a lot, you make really good friends. Like, I've got a lot of friends that I talk with fairly regular, but the only time I see them is at a contest because one of them lives in Tennessee or one of them lives in Missouri and somebody lives in Louisiana. We live in totally different parts or totally different states. So we actually don't see each other except for a handful of times a year at these contests. But anyhow, how you put a routine together is the whole point is showing that you can control the duck call from the top to the bottom. So you're painting the picture of a scenario of breaking a bunch of high ducks. That's how your routine starts. You're breaking a bunch of high ducks, so it means you're doing hail calls. So they start coming to you, so you start doing greeting calls. They get a little bit closer and start working the trees, basically. So you're doing feeding and a little bit more quiet stuff. And then you have to pretend like they're starting to leave. So that's when you do what's called a step up. So you're going from quiet to loud. And then you do a comeback, which is very loud and aggressive, just like your hail calls, trying to get them to come back. And then you do your greeting calls again, your feeding call stuff, and then you do your finish. And that's how a routine works. Now, how you put the different cadences and feed and everything together, that's where you have to try to be creative. My routine was not creative at all. It was basically a Main Street routine and a meat routine put together with some cut down licks thrown in. There are sounds that a cut down that are synonymous to a cut down that you have to do. So I threw some of those in there, but honestly, I did not think that my routine was special or it's definitely not a tricky, difficult routine. I hit every note.
So do you have it memorized and you're hitting the exact same notes every time you do that routine, or is any of it improvised while you're on the stage?
No, it is all timed out. Like the way that I practiced beforehand is I would do a minimum of 4 routines every day, minimum. And I timed every one of them. You've got 90 seconds for a routine. So I would time mine, and mine, if they end up at 94 or 95 seconds in my practice, then I know that I'll be short of 90 seconds when I get on stage because adrenaline takes over and you always go faster on stage. So, yeah, I've got it timed out. Hayden Richard, have y'all had Hayden on?
We did have Hayden on.
Okay. Him and Seth probably timed theirs out even better probably better than anybody. There was one time that I was watching Hayden in the contest, and at the 80-second mark, a red light comes on, which lets the caller know you've got 10 seconds to finish your routine. And I really thought Hayden was about to go over 10 seconds. And he finished his routine. He did not go over. He came back over to the bullpen and was like, dude, I thought you were about to blow over your routine. And he goes, nope, I've got 9 seconds that I know when that light comes on, I can do each note and it'll hit 9 seconds every time. And he does it every single contest that I watch him in. It's 9 seconds, the same thing every time. He's that dialed in.
Wow. It's crazy that there's such an art because people that don't know the insides of these calling competitions, I mean, they don't know all that. Like if you go out and watch one and you don't know, you're just watching. You just think that they're getting up there and blowing a duck call, and if you got up there 2 times, that it would be totally different. But that's not the case. There is so much that goes into this that I don't think people realize, and I think that's why it is intriguing to someone like Garrett and I, because we've never been in any competitions, and we don't have a lot of friends. I've only got one friend that, well, I say friend, Preston Ellis, who blows in a lot of competitions and stuff. And other than him, I've never talked with anybody about a competition until we started the podcast. And then we've talked to a few people there, and I've talked to Byron before about it a little bit. But, those, it's such an art. There's an art to duck calling, and then it goes a step further when you get in these competitions. It's not just thrown together.
It's almost like everybody's got their instrument and everybody has their song, and it's your time to get up and play your song.
Yep. Yes, America's Got Talent. You get up and show us what you got. You got 90 seconds to sing us the best song.
I like to compare it to golf because if you play golf and you watch golf, you understand what's happening. If you don't play golf and you try to watch golf, you're like, they're just hitting a ball. This is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen. So if somebody that doesn't know what they're watching in a calling contest, they're like, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen.
Yep,
I was never going to get on the stage, but now hearing you compare it to golf, I'm definitely never getting on the
stage. That's right. Well, look, Forrest, before we get into something else, we got to take a few breaks. We've got to squeeze 4 of these in somewhere, so we got to get another one in. But let's take a short break. Let's show some love to our sponsors here on Season 2 of The Blind, and we'll be right back after this with more Pond Creek Duck Calls. Well, we are back here on Season 2 of The Blind, right here in the Lyle Real Estate Studio, and our special guest, Mr. Forrest Carvajal. Making sure I get that down.
You're 2 for 3.
I am 2 for 3. I'll take that. I'll take that any day. But, Forrest, look, now, do you guys that competition call, because you may tell me no, and that's fine, but do you guys talk about what call you blow in the competition, or is that something you don't publicly talk about?
The call that you blow used to be a bigger deal than what it is now. Back in competition calling heyday, I would call it. You were an echo caller or you were a rich and tone caller. That's what you were. I'm not going to speak how exactly those teams played out with each other. But these days, you know what everybody's blowing. Some contests will make you write down the brand or whatever you're blowing. Some don't. Some do. Some don't. But it's not as big of a deal these days as what it used to be. I think there was a little more competition between call companies back then than what it is now. And in the cut down world, some companies are bigger with cut down, some are bigger with Main Street, some are bigger with meat and live duck.
So will you talk about your call? What you blew?
Yeah,
Or is that a
yeah.
secret?
No, it's no secret. It's nothing special. That's the thing. Is a lot of people they blow their cut olds or they'll blow some modified brute or modified mondo or something like that. Mine, I bought mine in 2016 from Max Prairie Wings. It's one of the Royal Blue Mondo LTs 40th edition. There's never been any sandpaper touch the tone board or nothing like that. It's as stock as it can be. The only thing that changed is I changed the cut on the reed. Most cut downs you have kind of like a triangle shape. There we go, triangle shaped reed. And for me, I competed at Simmons and I got fifth there. And they said that I was too gravelly, too rough sounding. I was like, okay, well, I have to clean it up somehow. And the way that I did that is I basically cut the reed straight across and dog-eared it like a J-frame, like a regular duck call. And that's what worked for me. So that's really the only change that's been done to mine. It's like I said, I bought it from Max. Anybody can go buy the same thing from Max pretty much.
Well, I bought one from Max and I gave it to Garrett.
And I don't know where it is now.
But so that's another thing kind of lead into. So when you do these calling competitions, do the judges give you feedback every time you call on what why you scored what you scored? Do you get stuff like that?
You can ask them. They're not going to come up to you and say, "Do you want my notes?"
I got you.
And when there's that big of a like when there's 58 people, like what there was for the World Cut Down, they didn't write down a lot of notes for the first round. They probably wrote notes for the second round and the third round, but they didn't write any notes. Probably they may have. I don't know. If I feel like I need the judges' notes, I will go get them. There's some contests that I'm like, I placed about where I thought I should have placed. I don't need to know the judges' notes, or I made a mistake and I want to know. I made a mistake. I already know what happened. I don't need their notes. Wow, that was loud. What was that? Anyhow,
that was that bell telling you time was up for that red light coming on.
But yeah, and I've judged the contest before, and I tried to write as many notes as possible because if you're new to contests, then you need to be getting the judges' notes. If you've been around it 10 years or more, you probably don't need their notes unless you think that you blew really well and you did not score well. Then you might want the judges' notes. But yeah, that's kind of how that plays out.
I got you. Well, that's so. Where do you hunt over around the DeWitt area, or you said y'all don't hunt much around Greenbrier, which I don't even know what's up there to hunt around Greenbrier. I mean, I know there's farmland and stuff around that area up there, but I'm not asking exactly where. But do you hunt public, or do you have private place, or kind of what do you hunt around East Arkansas?
I mean, I'll tell you, I'm not hiding anything. We don't kill a whole lot of ducks, so I'm not losing anything. No, in DeWitt, it's all private stuff. Now, during the year, we do get to hunt some private ground around Desark. But otherwise, we've been on the Cache NWR. We've been on the White. We'll go to Biomeda. I really enjoy going to Biomeda. It's just really pretty woods. I like that. As far as around us, there's Bell Flu and Ed Gordon. Those are both very, very popular, and they've changed regulations on those this year. So because of how popular they are, you're only going to get to hunt those 4 days a week. So, and I hunted Bell Flu a lot when I was in college.
Cam, I'm gonna stop us for just a second though, Forrest. Cam, is there anything we can? I don't think we can hear Cam, but.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
What happened?
We're working on your mic just a little bit.
Is it messing up again?
There we go. We got you back.
Better. You're back now.
Are you on a MacBook by chance?
Do what? No, I'm not on a MacBook.
Okay. Somebody's text messages are coming through, and whenever it does, it's affecting your audio. It's like muting you.
It's mine. I turned my phone off, but it's still coming through.
Golly.
So I don't know what to do with it.
What a rookie. We're only 50 shows in here,
As
and we
long as
got
it's not my fault, I'm good.
Jesus Christ.
My phone is off. I don't know what else to do.
Oh my God. Take your watch off. That's what it.
It's not my watch.
But nonetheless, welcome back to the worst podcast on Apple Podcast, The Blind, where we can't even turn our phone off. But nonetheless, it's so over around DeWitt. What is the store there? Isn't there a store in DeWitt? What's the outdoor store there?
Oh yeah, it's
Isn't there a place over there? Webb's.
Webb's.
Yeah, I stopped in there one time and bought a jacket. I'll go over and hunt around Dumas a little bit over there, so not too far away. So, I mean, I'm assuming that over there where you hunt, y'all hunt a little bit of everything, or mostly timber, or
No, we've got it's like a reservoir that we get to hunt on. So it's got two big blinds on it. It's a really big reservoir. So we hunt that. Usually we'll go once or twice a year. I usually only get the people that go, they stay there for about a week.
Mhm.
I only get to hunt on the weekends because I've got two kids at home. I can't leave for a whole week yet. They're almost old enough that they can go with me, but they're not there yet. But yeah, that's what we do. It's pretty much. I mean, we shoot everything. You know, if you like mallards only, then it's not the place you want to be.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of you've got these righteous people that only
Like you?
that will only hunt the
Like
timber.
you.
No, not me. I hunt
Yeah.
a little of everything.
Well,
Okay.
what about righteous? Like, I only like mallards. Mallard greenheads only. If I don't kill those, then I'm out.
Mallard purist. Mallard purist.
Yeah, he's a purist.
Well, everybody's got to be something. But, some people will only hunt timber. I've got friends that refuse. It doesn't matter how good of a hunt I promise them that we're going to go. We had some rice fields down here in Texarkana last year that were phenomenal. It stunned me, the location of them and stuff, how great they were. But they were amazing. And it doesn't matter how many ducks you're going to kill. I've got friends, and I'm sure we all know them, people like that you invite them, they're not going to go. They just hunt timber only, and if you hunt anything else, they give you such a hard time. But I just like to hunt ducks. I don't care where it is. Me and Garrett, we hunt
As long as we're killing, I'm good.
rivers, lakes, backwater, buckbrush, rice fields, timber. It doesn't matter to me. If I can find them in a ditch somewhere, I'll go hunt a ditch.
I like the big open stuff sometimes. You can see so much when
Yeah.
when you're out there like that. I like that every once in a while. Now I prefer timber. Like if I
Yeah.
have to pick one over the other, I pick timber. But I won't shake my head. I won't shake my head at any scenario.
So let's get off on just some side subjects here and stuff. But let's talk camo for a minute. What kind of camo
Let's
do
do
you
it.
like to wear?
I'll say this: if you can kill them in flannel, camo don't matter that much.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I like bottomland. I am not a bottomland purist. There
Now,
are
you got
people
those guys too. That's right.
that live and die in bottomland. That's fine. If that's your game, have at it. I've always liked buckbrush. I've always liked that. I've always liked the original mossy oak breakup. I like those because that's what I grew up hunting in. I mean, I wear Sitka. I know y'all are sponsored by Shin.
That's okay.
Sorry,
Hey, look,
sorry.
we're on here talking. we're not pushing the brand,
No,
but yeah,
hey,
I want to
listen.
know what you wear.
I love those guys over at Shin. I love every one of them. They make a great product. I went into the store what was it? It was last spring.
And you didn't
I
buy any
want-
waders?
That's what I was wondering. How do you walk out of there without waders?
No, I ain't got enough money.
Well, you
That's
do
out.
if you bought some Sitkas.
That's where the money went. It was already
okay.
gone.
I got you.
No, hey, I'm a short person. It's hard to find waders that fit good. And when I found the Sitka pair that I got, like it was, I just had to go ahead and get them.
Well, Shin's got that kids program now, and so we can
I'm
we can
just a
always see
little
if
too tall.
you're kind of in between.
Yeah, just a little in between.
Well,
But
we'll
no.
talk with them and see if they can make a pair for you.
No, I like solids. I mean, if I'm being honest, I like solids, but I wear the OptiFade timber. But like I said, if you're being still and you're not moon facing them, I don't think that the camo is, that big of a deal.
Yeah,
personally.
I can definitely agree with that. And Garrett and I we like solids too.
Mm-hmm.
I
What?
really like solids, but we both went to tree stand this year.
Okay, okay.
So
Why? Why that?
we are decked out for tree stand. I mean,
Why did y'all
it's
go to tree stand?
so when we found out that it was coming out and it was going to be tree stand, um, I was like, I like tree stand, but I didn't think I was going to be a huge fan of it until I saw it in person, and I was like, man, this is the real deal. I was like, I am in love. Like, nothing against Bottomland. I love Bottomland. I've always worn Bottomland, but when I saw the tree stand, I was like, man, I may have to find a girlfriend.
It
I
was
mean,
love
I
it,
may have
love
to
at
cheat.
first sight.
It
Love
was,
at first sight.
and I think I like it because you don't see it on everything. I think that may be. It's kind of like solids. You
Yeah,
see Bottomland everywhere. You used to see the Max 4 everywhere, Max 5. All that, and I guess maybe because it's something. It's old, but it's new. It's something
yeah.
coming back. It's kind of like the solids. Solids for a while there were not popular at all. Everybody wanted to marry Max 4 and get the newest thing out there, and then solids made a huge comeback, kind of like the waxed stuff.
I
That
love wax stuff.
I do too. I really like it. It sometimes, depending on what you got, it's too heavy, but
Yeah,
I still like it. I really like
yeah.
it.
I I I like the solids because I spend so much money on that stuff. Like I want to wear it more than just when I'm hunting. So
Yeah, yeah.
if I buy solids, like I can wear it doing other stuff other than when I'm hunting. Instead of wearing camo out everywhere I go.
But my favorite, and I've been trying to talk Shin and talk Field Norris into them making this, but they never will. But there was an old pattern called, Garrett, correct me if I'm wrong, what was it? Timber Ghost?
Timber Ghost.
Is that what it was? Timber
Yeah.
Ghost. And I say that, and 90% of people don't know what it is. And my dad, they bought it from like a hardware store, but it looked like Bottomland, but it had more black in it than what Bottomland does.
Huh.
And it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I wore it until, of course, I couldn't fit in it anymore. But you can't find it anywhere now. So I don't know if maybe that was just some bootleg stuff somebody made. Or, I don't know what it was, but whatever it is, I want to find it again because it's amazing. It's like a Bottomland, but it's darker.
You should check Camo Retro and see if you can find any there.
Yeah,
That'd be a good place to
that's
look.
a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a
That'd be
good
a good
idea.
place to look.
Yeah. So, well, look, what plans do you have for this season? Or, I mean, you got anything big coming with Duck Call brand, or any big hunting trips, or anything you're going to do?
Not this year. No. I'm just ready to get to cold weather and duck hunting. I do have a call that I might have. So what in the custom call world you call it getting it jigged,
Okay.
and that's they map it and they will make you a metal jig, and then when you're turning your calls, you put it in there and you cut it to the shape of the insert that you want. So I have one custom jig right now. That's what all my calls are cut off of. But I have a second call over there on the shelf that it's a different style. So it'll probably be my second style call that I make.
You want to show it right here live on the blind?
I mean, I don't
I'm
care.
I'm
You're not gonna
messing- I'm
you
messing
won't
with
be
you.
able to know anything about it.
We're always trying to talk people into giving us, let us break the news.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, you're breaking news right there. That's nobody knows about that other than the people that have been to the house.
Right.
So, I mean, that's nothing special, nothing super special. I have a dog. This will be his first year to duck hunt.
Same for us.
Yep.
Oh yeah, what do y'all got?
Well, Garrett's
What do
We
you
got
got
a mutt.
brothers. We got
Garrett's got
they're brothers. So if mine's a mutt, his is a mutt too.
Garrett's just acts like a mutt, but no, I'm just kidding. Garrett's got a good dog. But I've got a yellow lab that is semi. He's been obedience trained and stuff like that, but not just he's not a finished dog by any means.
Yeah.
But he's getting on up there, older in age, and I wanted to get me a black male, and so I decided I was going to get me a puppy, and Garrett decided at the same time he wanted one, and there was a red one in the litter. So Garrett got a red male.
Nice.
Yeah, mine was the run of the litter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the run of the litter. He's doing good. Hopefully he hunts good and he doesn't stay the runt. Hey.
Did you send him somewhere or did you train him yourself?
No, I can barely teach my 1-year-old how to try to act right. But yeah, no, I'm not training the dog. But no, we actually, I don't want to get too far into that because I might offend somebody listening to this. But I sent him to a trainer that I was not impressed with. So then took him on the very first hunt of this last season, and never got him off the stand.
Really?
And I left that day. I called the guy I bought him from, who is not a professional but does an amazing job. He should be. Does an amazing job training dogs, and he just does it for people that he knows, doesn't do it professionally. And I called him and said, hey, I'm bringing this dog to you on Monday. He said, man, keep him, hunt him. I said, it's a waste of time. I'm bringing him to you Monday. I want you to keep him as long as you need to. And, man, he went, what'd he go, 4 months maybe to him. And guy took him and got him some, I don't know, whatever in the dog world, the medallions, not the titles, but went and ran him in some field trials and passed him through some stuff, and he's doing really well now. So I'm actually just sending him back next week to kind of tune him up before season. But
that's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then mine, they're just puppies. So like last year, I took mine a few times. It's just hard with a puppy because they're so hyper, they're so excited to do everything, just trying to keep them calm. And a lot of our hunting is sitting and waiting. It's not very fast action a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So they probably learn more in what do they call it when they just make them sit? They make them
obedience.
Yeah. So they do more of that than they do actually picking up ducks.
So how old are your dogs? How old?
They'll be 2 this year. Is that right?
Yeah. They'll be 2. They were born right before New Year's or something like that?
Yeah, right about Christmas time.
Yeah, a little bit after Christmas time. So, Cam, do we have a bleep button? Like if I was to say a bad word, can you bleep it out?
I can probably touch it up in post. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just better off not to.
If we can keep Garrett's dog from crapping in the boat, I'll just say crap.
Oh no! Listen.
If we had the ability to bleep it out, I was going to say what I really wanted to say, but we'll be just fine if we can keep him from doing that.
He didn't crap. He did what you wanted to say.
Oh man!
But,
Never had one. Well, I had one that pooped in the blind one time. I had a Boykin Spaniel. His name was Hank, and he was awful. He pooped in the blind one time, and I'm telling you what, that dog peed all the time. Would pee on the dog stand because he just couldn't hold it. He'd have to pee on the dog stand. Never seen a dog like this. The people that have good Boykins, y'all found some special dogs. Mine was a different kind of special.
Well, speaking of special dogs, I had a German short-haired pointer not long ago, and I kept him for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And I finally told my wife, I said, I'm giving this dog away. Like, she was like,
well, it got to where he was calling me every night, riding around the neighborhood looking for him.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
every night.
Dog, man, look, I don't condone you beating dogs, but if I wouldn't have felt so bad, I'd have beat that dog to death. I mean, that's how upset I was every single day, and so I just had to give him away before I killed him.
Yeah,
I didn't, I couldn't bring myself to do that, but I wanted to.
Well, I had my Boykin Hank, and then I lucked into Owen, my British lab that I've got now. He's a yellow lab. He's awesome, incredible. And Hank would get out of the backyard and take Owen with him down through the neighborhood. Like, well, I can lose Hank. I'll be sad, but I can lose him. I can't lose Owen. Owen's too good. Owen is too special of a dog. So we had to rehome Hank. And we got lucky. We found a lady in Arizona, and I'm pretty sure that Hank is probably eating higher on the horse than what I'm eating right now.
Oh man,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I've got something for you. We were asking you about what you got coming up, and I was, if you're needing any new projects, I've got a new project for you.
Oh boy,
are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? I need you to work that out for me.
What kind of call was that? What was that?
The only reason I brought this on and called on it is my uncle from South Louisiana gave it to me, and he said, if you'll blow that on the show, I'll give it to you. Well,
Nice.
when somebody tries to give you a call and just asks you just blow it, okay, I can do that.
It's a good looking call.
Yeah, yeah.
It probably sounds real good too if somebody that knew how to
Yeah,
blow
the
it
right
was blowing.
person blowing it. So
I thought you. That's not where I thought you were going with that. I thought he was blowing the call and said, "I'm the project. Would you fix this?" And I
that's
thought
what it
meant-
was. I'm the
Okay,
project.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I
just
need
making
him
sure
to
I
fix
knew.
my calling.
I can't fix it. I can tell you what to do, but it's up to you to fix it.
I probably can't do it if you told me.
It's kind of like golfing. You know, I've had people try to give me lessons, and they're like, "I've told you 5 times how to do this. Why can you not do it?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't know. You just gonna have to grab my arms and show me how to do it."
It's
you
a
know?
bigger project than you're willing to take on.
So my golf clubs sit in the garage and collect dust. So, but look, hey, let's take our last break of the night. We're going to work with Garrett and see if he can figure out how to get this phone from dinging. And but we're going to take one more commercial break, and when we come back, we like to call the last segment of each show the final flight. We'll run through some questions for you. Garrett, get your mind right. We're going to go back and forth, kind of give you a question, and it's kind of we don't go too fast, so it's not what we call rapid fire, but it's just going to be, we ask you the question, you give us the answer, and because a lot of people want to justify their answer, and we want to put you on the spot. So, but we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we got some questions for you. We're going to find out a little more of what you think about some things on the final flight. So we'll be right back. All right, well, welcome back to The Blind. This is our final segment here with our 2023 World Cutdown Champion, Mr. Forrest Carvajal.
3 for 4.
3 for 4. 3 for 4. Well, look, Forrest, we got a few questions for you, and just give us the answer, and you could justify it a little bit. I mean, we're not going to put you on the spot too bad, but just a couple questions for you. So, of course, the first question is pretty easy. What's your favorite duck?
Ooh.
And it doesn't even have to be your favorite to kill. Maybe it's just you like the way it
They're
looks
just pretty.
or the sound, or it doesn't have to be, hey, I want to go out and kill this duck every day. What's your favorite duck?
Okay, well, can I give you 2 answers for
Sure
that?
you can. This is
Okay.
your show. You can do whatever you want to do.
So, I mean, anytime I go hunting, I'm looking to kill mallards. Yes. But if I have to pick one, like, it would probably be a pintail. Anytime that I hear one or see one, I get excited. I've only ever killed 2 or 3 of them, so they're a special one to me. I'm making it 3-part. The black duck is still top on my trophy list. Haven't got one yet, but it's on the hit list right now. Main one.
Well, the reason why your answers are the way they are is because you're from Texarkana. You're from this area. So your answers are just like ours. We want to kill mallards, but around here people just don't understand that, you don't get a whole lot of pintails. So those are a prized
They're
possession.
special. They are special.
And then you don't ever see black ducks.
Listen. I've got a buddy that lives over there in Texarkana, and he hunts this pecan orchard that when it floods, he gets ducks on it. So last year, he took his son on a hunt, and then we knew he was going on the hunt, and then he sends us a picture of 4 greenheads and a pintail that he shot in a freaking pecan orchard.
What's
in
this?
Southwest Arkansas.
I won't ask you what this friend's name is, but I do know some guys that hunt a pecan orchard when it gets some water in it. So we may know the same people, but
I bet we do.
but that's maybe what we need to start doing. Everybody wants these big green tree reservoirs and stuff like that. Maybe we just need to
These
find us a
pecans.
pecan orchard, build us some levees up. We make it fill it full of ducks.
I'm about to Google and see how well pecan trees tolerate water.
That's the new deal. The new
That's
thing.
the new deal.
Probably not well, but
Probably
nonetheless.
not.
But well, look,
All
let's
right.
go through a couple other of these questions. Garrett, what you got?
I got one. Coffee or Red Bull? What gets you going in the morning?
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Oh.
I like that one. I can get on board with that.
Man, I got to mark this off my list because one of my questions was going to be Coke or Dr. Pepper. So I guess we have our
That was
We got
not even
that.
close.
we got our
I hate
answer
Coke.
there. So, duck call, cut down or J frame?
J-frame.
All day,
All
every
day.
day.
All day.
Even from the cut down champion.
Now, I'll say this. I carry a cut down with me every time that I go, but I always pick up a J-frame first. That's just my preference. Now, I think if you're hunting in the woods and you've got a group of 10 guys with a J-frame, with all 10 of them blowing J-frames, and then you got another group with 10 guys, all of them blowing a cut down, I think the cut down probably wins over the J-frame. I'll say that. And don't get me wrong, I like a cut down, but if I got to pick one, I'm going J-frame.
All right. All right. I got one. Benelli, Beretta, or something else.
Well, that's it. That's so. Our podcast, which sorry, shameless plug, off the X.
Hey, by the way, yes, and we're going to get to that before we get off here. So
you're good. We don't have to. It's fine. We're testing out Otis arms this year, so
Okay.
checking those out. I'm not going to say like, oh, it's Otis for sure, 100%. I started shooting Winchester. I have a Winchester Super X2, and I love that gun. It patterns great. But up until this year, I was shooting a Benelli 20 gauge M2, and that gun is as flawless a semi-automatic as you can have. I love that gun. Never shot a Beretta. I can't speak to those, but it's really hard to beat a Benelli.
I won an M2 at the Delta.
Did you really?
Expo? Yeah, I went to the banquet that night during the Delta, and I won the first gun of the night, which was an M2.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah.
A 12 or a 20?
It's a 12. I wanted a 20 because all I shoot are 12 gauge, and I want a 20, so I was hoping I could get one. But hey, I'll take a free gun any day.
Yeah, when you start shooting a 20, you won't go back to a 12.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
That's becoming so much more popular. I feel like there's so many guys shooting 20 gauges now.
Well, and the sub gauges are so popular now. I mean, people are shooting, what are they, 28s and all kinds of stuff. I can remember my grandpa, speaking of squirrel hunting, back when I was little, he shot a 16 gauge.
Yep.
And so those sub gauges are getting more popular.
Well, I mean, when you can shoot, like, y'all have Apex ammunition. When you can shoot those blends from Apex out of a 20 gauge, and you get the same killing power or better than a regular 12 with steel shot, a 20 is so much easier to control and carry because it's so much lighter. It's more fun to shoot one. My opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And I may have to justify buying one and tell my wife, well, I'm buying it for my little boy, and she's going to say, well, he's one. Well, he's going to grow into it,
That's what I'm going to use when I get a 28.
That's right. Well, hey, let's find out a little bit more about you here. This is a little off the subject, but we want people to know who you are.
Okay.
Fried chicken or grilled chicken?
Well, I'm the worst person to ask about food because I'm a picky eater, but it would probably be fried chicken out of those two.
Either
no bone.
Great. Hey, it's your answer. It's your show.
No bone. Boneless wings for me. No bone-in wings for me.
Oh no. Well,
no.
I'm glad I didn't ask that one. Garrett, you got anything else?
We'll do one more. Let's go. Gator Tail, Pro Drive, Mud Buddy, or something else?
That's a tough one. Up until probably last year, I would have said Mud Motor, no doubt. 8 days a week Mud Motor. But I'm kind of getting to where I like the outboards a little more now. I realize I'm not a daredevil. I'm not going to fight to get back in a lot of those places that you have to have a mud motor. And if that's where we're going, somebody else is probably going to have it. So if I had to pick something, I'm probably just going to go outboard because I do a lot of fishing during the year too.
Yeah.
So I go outboard.
Well, the last one that I got for you is your drink of choice: beer or whiskey,
Whiskey.
or maybe it's water. Whatever
Whiskey.
floats your boat. All right.
I don't like beer.
What kind of whiskey?
Never
While
got
we're on the
into it.
subject, what kind of whiskey?
Okay. Well, there's a bunch of them. I like Smoke Wagon a lot. I really like Smoke Wagon. Elijah Craig small batch is surprisingly good for the price. Um, I like Eagle Rare is
Now
really
you're
good.
talking like a real bourbon or whiskey drinker. Like you drink it on the rocks or even just drink it just in a glass.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
you
Now
see you could tell.
if I'm mixing it, I like Texas Ranger. It's got a lot of vanilla to it, so I like if I'm mixing something, I do Texas Ranger. Uh, I like Crown Royal salted caramel if I'm mixing it too. It's super sweet. I got a sweet tooth apparently, but I like that with my Dr Pepper too.
Eagle Rare. We've got a restaurant here in Texarkana. Well, you may know what it is. Benchmark. I don't know if you've been back since they've been open, but it's a it's a
I don't come to Texarkana just a whole lot anymore.
well, you know what? We would love for you to come down here and go on an afternoon hunt at
Yes.
Millwood with us. Bring your Cutdown, and we'll go over there and test it out, and we'll see if it'll break those afternoon mallards. And that's why we like hunting in the afternoons.
We'll
'cause
be
that's
the
all you kill is
judges.
mallards.
We'll give you a. We'll critique you on your cut down skills.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Trust me, we won't know what to say.
You'll,
I mean,
you'll roll your eyes. You'll roll your
I'll say,
eyes the whole time.
sounds good to me.
yeah, yeah.
So on those afternoon hunts, at what time of year are you confident with taking your dog because of all the alligators?
Oh, I mean,
Second split.
oh, 100%. I mean, once the water temp gets cold, I mean, if it's still getting to 70 degrees outside, usually opening weekend, we'll take them down.
We've run them out of the hole opening morning.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hate
not
them
till it
things.
cools down.
I hate
Because
them.
there's some big ones, some really big ones. I actually got a
Absolutely.
text message to my phone this week. Somebody was over there fishing and sent me one, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
Have you seen the big one at Mud Lake?
I don't know if I've seen the big one there, but I've seen some pictures where they're just, I mean, dinosaurs, and they're huge. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah. There's one at Mud Lake that my great grandfather talked about it. My grandfather talked about it. My uncle talks about it, and I've seen it a couple times. But I mean, it's like right when you go in there and it's off to the right. It's usually just right in there. Man, it's a big alligator. Been there for who knows how long.
yeah, they're huge. They're huge. Well, look, let's talk about, and I was going to get to this, but let's talk about your podcast just a little bit. So
The
tell us about it.
podcast came about because me, Tyler, and Barrett, the three main guys on there. We've got Matt Covington that's coming on there now. We sit around and talk duck hunting all the time. We live close to each other. We hunt together all the time. And one day, Tyler was just like, "Would y'all want to do a podcast?" And I had been thinking about it for a while, but I just didn't know who I would ask to do one. But since he said that, I was like, "Yep, absolutely, 100%. Let's do it." Because I mean, the only thing that we changed is we put microphones and headsets on now instead of instead of just sitting on the couch talking duck hunting.
Yeah.
So that's how that came about. Y'all are way more high class of what y'all got going on here than what we do. But we just like talking duck hunting. That's it. We like duck hunting. We like talking duck hunting. We like meeting people, talking to people. Same as you guys. I mean, it's the same thing. Like you said, there's so much room in the podcast world. There's so much room in the duck hunting world that if you're positive about it and you're, accepting of others, there ain't no big deal, But that's where it came about.
So what's the name of your podcast?
Off the X, because we ain't ever on it.
I've listened to it. I've seen it. So I enjoy it. But yeah, it's a good podcast. You guys get on there. Y'all are good together. Everybody sounds good. I mean, everybody, and nothing against, I won't name any names, but there are some podcasts you get on and they drag on, or they've got somebody on there that just, I won't even get into that. There's a couple podcasts I refuse to listen to because it irks my nerves, the things that they do. But I'm sure there's people that think that about our podcast as well. They probably don't like to hear me tell stuff that I tell, but yours is not one of those.
There's something for everybody.
It's your own personal preference. But hey, y'all probably had them. You'll have a guest on there. It seems like you got to pull information out of them. It's just interviews are tough sometimes. Yeah. I hope I'm not one of those.
No, you're not. We appreciate you. Appreciate you being on and being a great guest. But tell everybody where they can find your podcast at.
It's Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbeam, all the major podcast platforms. It's on all those. I'm not a tech guy, so
We're not either.
Y'all had to get me to get my headphones for this thing, and I didn't even think about it. So,
well, it wasn't us, but we've got a behind-the-scenes producer, Cam, and he is man. He makes all this work. All we do is just tell him kind of an idea, and he runs with it and makes it all happen. So we definitely couldn't do it without him. But I don't know if you could hear me or not, but I didn't know what to do. I was just like, hey, Cam, what do we do? So, yeah, without him, we have no clue. But look, man, we appreciate you taking time out to chat with us. We love to see what's coming down the road for Pond Creek Duck Calls. Hope to see a Cutdown out soon.
It's coming.
And,
it'll be here.
And seriously, we'd love to. Of course, it's Millwood. We can't promise anything, but if you'd like to come down and get on a Millwood hunt and revisit some of your old stomping grounds, you let us know, and we'll make it happen. You come on down here, and we'll go over there one afternoon.
I'm all about it. Hey, thank y'all for having me on. It's been a good time.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it.
Yeah, we appreciate you very much. And so make sure you go over and check out Forrest, their podcast, Off the X. You can find it on all of your major podcast sites, or probably anywhere. It doesn't even have to be one of the major ones, because our podcast apparently goes all these different places. We see people who are listening, and we didn't even know it was on there. So, but go find their podcast. It's a great listen. And, of course, I mean, they got world champion Cutdown caller on there. I mean, it's got to be something with the royalty on there. So, but we appreciate you tuning in and watching either on Facebook or listening to the podcast for the blind. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go over and like us on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere that you can find any kind of social media. More than likely, we're on there. So make sure you go over and follow Forrest as well. He puts some good content out. Now, what all are you on? Because I follow you on Instagram, and I don't know if I am friends with you somewhere else or not, to be honest.
I think we're probably friends on Facebook too. My Pond Creek Duck Calls is on Instagram at Pond Creek Duck Calls, and that's where I'm the most active. Is right there. I don't do TikTok. I don't do that. I don't have a Pond Creek Facebook page because I don't know. I just haven't done it.
Well, it's hard enough to take care of one social media platform, much less multiple ones, and that's one thing that Garrett and I struggle with. But a couple podcasts
we do our best.
ago, we had Maggie Williams on, who is a social media sensation. So we are definitely using that to our advantage to try to get our new friend.
There you
help
go.
us out, and we love Maggie, so we appreciate her for being on too. But man, we appreciate you taking the time away from your family to chat with us. So we'll let you get off of here and go join your family for the night. And again, let's get together and hunt. And we wish you, Jesus Christ, we wish you the best in all of your competitions coming up here in the future.
Thanks, guys.
So that'll be it here for this episode of The Blind. Make sure you go over and like us on social media, like we said, and then on podcasts, make sure you subscribe. So every new episode that comes out, it'll give you a notification, just like Garrett has gotten 15 times during this episode. So,
hey, I might trademark that little ding.
I'm sure it's already trademarked. But we appreciate you for tuning in. We'll see you next time right here from The Blind.
Okay, all right.